Hey, Jeffrey Edward Taylor, BS MPA, uh, targeted individual for 15 years. And um, that is to interrupt my speech, it sounds like, coming off a baby monitor system. I picked up a tip about to get um, people passed out on those headgear machines to have to hear their own neurolinguistic programming to discourage them from talking at all. So I just checked in with some of Kevin Christian's uploads, and I'm going out with the Yanni years here. Fucking DJ Grey Goo and my 40-year-old retirement, just getting bounced around the West Coast like a fucking pinball. So many psych wards, so many psychopaths on those machines. Fucking sword head out of that photo that I got on my Instagram account, Tim D Young BSMPA5. That's the shits they're using to fucking hurt me and Kev Christian out of Georgia. My family from Georgia. My brother lived there. I think he was working for maybe John Deere back then, and has a daughter from Georgia. Anyways, I was fortunate enough to come across Kevin's disclosures on YouTube, and Howard Circle wasn't able to sue to get it shut down. I'm getting hit in my forehead right now as I'm doing this, making my face painful. Anyways, he's making a lot of sense to a lot of people, and I get interrupted with the NLP every 15 to 30 seconds by somebody who had access to this targeted individual during the Bush administration and took out a really great opportunity for my whole state. Some of my efforts that culminated in Measure 86 would have been much more successful, and if I didn't have perps designing things to fail around me, or my consciousness interrupted every 15 to 20 seconds by NLP Satanists who pass out on those machines. They don't have the fucking Yanni haircut to go with it, and they're wet. Where no, they're on those machines that Kevin Christian describes, torture and STI. And there's been about 1,600 that have been in and out of my R&M, about 2,500 with flesh and blood interactors, and then full, the large operations that unfolded around me since 2016 when I lived in Portland on a street called Dakota, and the EMF invaded, and I ended up in the hospital for a while, tortured, and then increasingly gang stalked, and repeated housing issues, and finding more out from my aunt what her plight's been like in LA, and hearing how these gangs, people think they get put in the program by an ex-boyfriend when it's a perp that mind fucks them to begin with and then starts torturing them. Here's another example. This woman on Twitter, she's an MK Ultra slave. She went on talking about how her sister threw her in the program. What really happened, now that I'm a little bit more of an aware as a TI, is an EMF perp faked her sister's presence, did all that Satanism in front of her, saying, I'm going to throw you into this program, you're going to be tortured for the rest of your life, in her sister's form, not knowing about EMF perping or the technology that they can hang out on those headsets, and it really wasn't her sister. And then she gets thrown into the CI program, and then the guy that can fake anybody's form, manifests as her new pimp, and now he has his human capital acquisition separated from known kin or family in the sister, and then will blame the sister in a misdirect for something this guy's doing to her for the rest of her life, showing up as anybody he wants, making her sleep with guys that smell like curry when she would rather not sleep with any man at all. She got the Queen programming with some of my perps. We're talking about Queen Esther on Twitter. I hope she's okay. But we're not okay. I mean, we're all getting tortured. My hair looks fantastic, though, by the way. Just, yeah. It sometimes. You gotta appreciate some things about living to 40, which was not made any easier because the Secret Service, the intelligence community, the NSA, the fucking FBI, and everything in between sold me out for a handshake and a blowjob, or whatever it really was or is, for reasons to still be trying to exterminate my family in a slow kill, and others across this country. I've had some interactions with folks that have come into Hillsborough that's been alright. I don't go out into towns much that I live in. I became a recluse after college when my wings got clipped by the intel agencies. I mean, it's expert neurolinguistic programming, hell for a straight dude. So when you look at Kevin Christian's situation, like, it's my situation is similar. It's like algebra. Like, Kevin's like I am. I'm like Kevin Christian, and then all the shit happening to Kevin is very similar to what's happening to me. Like, he talks about that perp chirp. I heard that shit in Vegas, man. Like, fortunately, like, only a few times on a bus. He's right. I know what he's talking about. I can corroborate that shit. And on and on. Do I have a little bit of red in my beard in this line? Yeah, a little red beard. Wow. And I got some smarts with on the lines of the Dr. Horton PhD crowd, but my consciousness was interrupted every 15-20 seconds because I was one of the better big picture thinkers, like, in the fucking world. Like, scales broke them as a youth. Like, I was a child genius, and now I'm an NLP tortured TI, doing sometimes better, some days sometimes not, and it's just my will or perception on a pattern that doesn't change. So my life is extremely difficult as a TI, and people don't know, by structure of the B system, what they're taught to come and say on a fucking tweet, or your handler tells you to go out to this corner and say this to this guy. Like, the weaponized neurolinguistic programming through these synthetic telepathy systems, like, in terms of cessation of combat and, like, ceasefire in these measures, like, I need some cessation to NLP, and I haven't had it for fucking 15 years. It can kill. Words can fucking kill, particularly when you're synthetically telepathic. So if you're thinking about talking to me,